Hello, my beautiful ASMR people. Can you believe it? We have reached 200 subscribers. Might not seem like a lot, but think of 200 people in a room. It's a lot of people. Before we get on with our 200 subscriber celebration, I want to say that I was interviewed by the Dirty Nerdy Show. In the video description is a link to that interview, and there will be one at the end of the video. What can I say about the Dirty Nerdy Show? I've been a subscriber when they had less than 100. I'm sort of a day one patron, a real member of the family. I would not be an artist without the Dirty Nerdy Show. So I suggest all my subscribers click that interview and then click the subscribe button on the Dirty Nerdy Show. If anyone actually wants to support me, I suggest you become a patron of the Dirty Nerdy Show. Just send them a message saying ASMR people sent you. So for our 200 sub giveaway, I made you something. We don't do normal triggers here. I don't make normal things. So it's not made out of glue, macaroni, and construction paper. In fact, at first glance, it doesn't look like something handmade at all. In fact, it looks like something that was made 30 years ago. A regular NES cartridge, right? And a crappy game at that. Well, the outside looks can deceive you, because inside it has a Raspberry Pi. On that Raspberry Pi, it's loaded up with RetroPie, a operating system that allows you to play classic video games. It has a USB. It has a way of powering it. In fact, it has 3 USBs to be exact. And it also has an HDMI output. It's a plug-and-play system. Plug it into your TV and you play. I am also including an NES controller. This will act as your mouse and, of course, to play your retro games. Nintendo quickly sold out and, oddly enough, discontinued their NES Classic. This is an NES Classic, an SNES Classic, a Sega Master System Classic, a Sega Genesis Classic, an Atari Classic, and many more, all rolled into one. This will allow you to do save states. It will be a Game Genie. This here is much more functional than a NES Classic. So, to the lucky person that wins it, you'll enjoy. I do want to quickly say this giveaway is inspired by Little Dove's NES Classic giveaway. Once I seen that, I thought, gosh, I bet you I could do something even cooler. But I'll link her channel in the description. Alright. So now I'm going to do a little voiceover of me making this, where I'll explain the contest rules and all that. So again, everybody, Thank you for 200 subs. We're just beginning. So here's the voiceover part. We'll see how low-key I can be after this being my 4th attempt to record this. So I got a cheap NES cartridge, no sense in wrecking a good one, just for this little Raspberry Pi project. These, of course, are little Nintendo controllers, screwdrivers. When I was unscrewing this, I kept thinking that, what am I going to find in here? This has been sealed for like 30 years. A gold ring. Jimmy Hoffa's left eye. I apologize for any noise you hear. I record in my basement a long ways away from like a computer or any outside noise, but this voiceover I have to do on my editing computer, so it has this loud fan, and of course it's upstairs where you hear traffic and people mowing. That's the actual game. Made me wonder why they made these cartridges so big. Maybe it seemed more substantial to the buyer if it was that size. I believe next year I'm going to grind off this little plastic lip. Yep. So this actually makes a good time for me to talk about the contest rules. In the comment in the description of this video, we are all ASMR people. You'll also see it on the screen right now. You just need to do that, and you need to be publicly subscribed to me. Remember, a public subscription. So when I draw the winner, which will be in a couple weeks or something like that, I'll announce it. I'm going to try to build a little hype. I'll use some random number generator. I'll count down. And if that comment says we are all ASMR people, I will check to see if that person is publicly subscribed to my channel, and so he's the winner, or she. But if they're not, then we'll just do it again. So if you're a really big ASMR artist, please make sure you're publicly subscribed. Or, I mean, I'm sure you'd have a second account. You could do it there too. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to build up a little subscriber base with this little giveaway. Linked in the description, you'll see, I think it's an Instructable or something that I got this idea from, or the instructions on how to do this. I believe he used an X-Acto knife and pliers to get rid of this plastic ridge, and in hindsight I think it probably would have worked better. I mean, I might have had to have gone back through and sanded it down with the Dremel, but that Dremel, man, you make a mistake and it'll cut right through the plastic. Of course, I recorded, I had no mic hooked up to my camera when I captured this, but so just the camera mic was recording, but you should see the waveform for this part, just solid black, because the loudness of the power tools. I always wondered if you turn down the gain, if actually power tools would make an interesting sound if they weren't loud. Maybe it's something I'll do for a video sometime. Similar to my VHS video. You can see all the plastic shards on my little black tablecloth. Of course, I had to wash it after this, but I wanted to film it in my little recording studio instead of like out in my garage or something, because that's where my lighting is. often in this you'll see it'll be near the top of the screen because, you know, when you're actually doing some work, the last thing you're really worried about is how it's appearing on the screen. You're just trying to do it, and then I'd remember, and I'm like, oh shit, I better slide it back down. This contest, of course, is a little bit inspired by Little Dove's, what was it? It's called a classic Nintendo, or whatever the little Nintendo Mini is that Nintendo made. I thought it was a cool idea, and then her giving away that thing, and then I thought, well, shoot, I want to play more than 30 games and don't want to buy the actual cartridges of other games. So why not use a RetroPie or a Raspberry Pi? The software I'll put on here is a RetroPie. It's a Pi Zero, by the way. Pi 3 wouldn't fit in an NES cartridge unless you did a little modification to it. I understand there's some instructions out there to put a Pi 3 into a SNES cartridge. SNES cartridges are a little thicker, but you have to modify those still, like holes for the USBs and all that stuff. Of course, the Pi 3's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. This has none of that stuff, but you could always put a Wi-Fi USB plug-in. This little thing I had was cracked open here was just a USB hub from Amazon. The little LED was too high, so I had to kind of pluck that off. Now, if I wanted to really get into making this nice, I could have probably cut that USB cord on the little USB hub and actually soldered those wires to the board, but it seemed a little intense for me. The project this guy kind of invented here was for someone who didn't want to solder anything. This is a 4 USB hub. 3 of them are facing out, and there's one facing back. If you wanted to affix a Wi-Fi to it and want to leave it on there all the time, you could probably unscrew this cartridge and put the Wi-Fi on the essentially inside one, but I would just see if I just use it on the outside when you needed it. Really, the only option you have reason you need a Wi-Fi is if there might be some net play options, and also if you want to put more games on and you don't want to do it via USB, there is a way of doing it via Wi-Fi. So that there is the Pi Zero. Has a 32 gig SD card in it, loaded up with a bunch of ROMs. You could put more on there, a ton more on there. Oh, public service announcement time. I in no way endorse copyright infringement. Every ROM on there, I do own the physical copy to. And I didn't download these ROMs. I used some fancy equipment to make an electronic file of them. Public service announcement over. So these components, I glue them down to the cartridge. The glue I used was actually very strong, but it expanded a little bit, so the next day after it dried, I had to get a little knife and kind of carve out where it expanded. The Pi Zero board has little holes in it for soldering wires, and when I set it down, the glue was coming through those holes, and I'm like, oh no, because I didn't know maybe the stuff would dissolve the copper or circuitry. I was a little worried. Didn't. By the way, I'm gonna shake the hell out of this thing before I ship it and retest it, just because the nightmare, of course, would be I have to send it to England or Australia or something, and it arrives and it doesn't work. Someone's excited about this contest, they get it and it doesn't work. I mean, what are we gonna do? Like, spend another $50 shipping each way for me to fix it? Maybe. Or me trying to coach someone through, well, check this or that. And they're not gonna have Nintendo screwdrivers. So I want to arrive unarmed, and I'll pack it really well, but also it's doing international, if it's doing international shipping or domestic for that matter, I mean, it's going to be jarred around, and I want it to survive. I end up filling up almost my whole camera recording this. Of course, you'll see it's cut down to maybe 20 minutes or something, but I having to sit there and hold those components. It wasn't fast drying glue, and I can't sit there and hit stop on the camera. I considered making like a true tutorial on this, but there's a lot of them out there, and at the moment I was lacking. Like, I downloaded the stuff you need to get the software around on my old computer, and that doesn't have OBS or any screen capturing stuff, and it seemed like a pain, so I just thought I would do a little voiceover for the actual modding part and not show any of the actual software stuff you have to do to make this happen. All I will say is it's running RetroPie. So there, I'm kind of waiting for it to dry, and yeah, I see these holes. Here's what I'm worried about. Oh no, the glue's getting through the holes. If I had done it again, I might have tried like some high-end carpet tape, two-sided with that padded thing to it, because you need to raise it off the plastic a little bit. So next I'm going to glue the what do they call them, dongles, to the end of the cartridge there. The first one being I don't know what's this is called, micro USB or whatever the it's like all the components, and like all non-Apple phones use it as a charging too. So that's of course what powers the board, is that line, which by the way you'll be getting not just the cartridge but the a little thing to power it, and an SNES USB controller. That there, the second thing I'm gluing down right now, that's a micro HDMI to HDMI, so you can plug it straight into your TV, no problem. Some people have done Game Boy projects with the Pi Zero, and they're powering it via battery, using buying a little high-end LED screen. It'd be kind of a cool project. A little more involved than what I'm doing here, but it's doable. I mean, I'm sure I could have done it. I personally don't like handheld. I mean, the handheld part's not what I don't mind, but man, I don't want to play on a screen less than 30-40 inches. So I never really owned much handheld stuff. I played Game Boy Advance games on my GameCube, so I could play it on the big screen. Yeah, here's where it would have saved quite a bit of space if I would have actually soldered the USB hub to the Pi Zero board itself. And I believe I cut most of it out, but yeah, I struggled for like 30 minutes trying to get this thing to close with all those wires the way they are. I think I just do it in one take on the video here, but it took me a while. So there you have it. But this video will continue. I'll show you the on-screen part. It was a fun little project. I'd never done a Raspberry Pi project, so this was the first one. Cool little technology. I think I'm going to make myself some retro Pi system with a Raspberry Pi 3 for the little, you know, that Raspberry Pi Zero will do anything 16-bit, but the Pi 3 will play PS1 games. I don't know if I'll do a mod like this, though. I think I might just buy a nice little Raspberry Pi 3 case and not go through the work of a mod, but I felt this would make for compelling video. Surprisingly, these Nintendo screws were in pretty good shape. There's no on-off switch when you're done. You just unplug it or leave it plugged in all the time for that matter if you want. Doesn't build up much heat, the Pi Zero. Okay, so there's me hooking it up to my TV. If I was like a true tutorial guy, then I'd be able to have a system where I could capture my HDMI image or whatever. So it uses Linux operating system, and it uses I think it's called Game Engine GUI. You'll be able to do anything you want pretty much with your SNES controller that's already programmed for it, and you're getting. I'll send a little like one-page instruction on a few things, but I'll quick tell you. You hold select for a second and then push start to get back to the main menu. Hold select and press the right bumper for save state, or hold select and press the left bumper for load state. That's the important ones, because it's the fun part about ROMs is I don't have 40 hours a week to put into games anymore, so if I play something I didn't play when I was a kid, I don't have time to get good, so I just need to save the state. Oh, Emulation Station, that's the name of the GUI. So anytime you get a new gamepad, it takes you through this. The D-pad, select and start are things that have to be defined. A, B, X, and Y have to be defined. But when you get down to the shoulder stuff and whatnot, if you hold down an RA defined button for a few seconds, it'll just leave it empty. Now, this was the first time I'd fired it up, so I used like a PS1 style controller, so I was able to define everything. But your SNES controller that you get, it's not going to have every one of these buttons, so some of the stuff is defined. You can plug a USB keyboard into it too if you want. And one thing, if I were in your guys' shoes, I would get a USB Genesis controller. The SNES controller works good for NES, SNES, Atari, Sega Master System even. But for Genesis, you're going to want probably the 6-button USB. So you'll have to program that. Any little things that you want to do, you probably can find it on the internet, or you can always DM me and I could give you some advice. So this is before I've had put the ROMs on, which it can be done with a USB stick. That's how I did it. This thing will take more ROMs. If you want to put some more ROMs on, you can. You'll have to read up on how to do it. You can do it with a USB stick, or you could do it via Wi-Fi if you end up putting a little Wi-Fi thing on here. So there's afterwards I got Atari, Game Boy Advanced, Game Boy, NES, SNES, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16. There's some English system that I don't remember the name to. This was me sort of playing with some of the settings that I was sort of starting to get to the idea of how to use. Parts for all this, including that controller. It probably came to $40 with shipping, maybe 40 something. You know how many views it'll take to ever recoup that? No, I have no pretensions of being a star or anything. I make the videos just because I like to make them. I like hearing people enjoy them. See, like this Bluetooth and Wi-Fi stuff, it uses the same engine as it would for the Pi 3, which that stuff's built right in. I think I'm testing it right here, and look at all those games you get. Should be a lot of fun. By the way, if you're sticking around this late in the video, tell me what your favorite retro system is and your favorite game. But still remember to put the comment, "We are all ASMR people," in. So it gives a weird error message every time you load a game, but whatever. Works. True classic. Super Mario World. This will not play in 64 games. Funny thing is, I hear the Pi 3 has a lot of trouble with a lot of them not processing power situation, a emulation situation. So it'd been probably 15 or 20 years since I'd played this game, so I was a little rusty, but I just wanted to test it out. So we're reaching the end of the video. Listen, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed and watches my videos. 200 subscribers might not sound like a lot, but imagine 200 people in a room. And my videos get anywhere from like 1,000 to 400 views. I mean, imagine that many people. Maybe some of those are repeats. I don't know, but it means a lot to me. Thank you all, and maybe we'll do something special at 500. All right, bye, guys.